Yeah, Brian, watching the film from the Dallas game, what stood out about what your team did and didn't do?
Well, I think after the game, I went through the chances that we did create that were, statistically it was below 1 expected goals, but there were a couple chances that we should have scored for sure. So we created some good moments, but then what was missing? I asked them during the film what was missing from these other clips, and we just weren't as dynamic as we were against Montreal. Running behind a back line of 5. Why were we successful against Montreal? What were the differences? So, some good things, and then incomplete things is what I would put.
Is it the incomplete nature? Is that what's the differences, or is there a specific movement that you weren't seeing, specific passes?
Yeah, we weren't playing and sprinting or moving behind when the ball went wide, and the wing back would go and press and running in those half spaces. Just even if not to get the ball, just to create space, top of the box. Just not enough movement ahead of the ball.
Is that something that could have been changed with a substitution, bringing somebody else who would have then made those runs?
Maybe. I mean, Masowski's playing in a center forward, so, trying to take Raul there was hard for me to take Raul out because he worked hard. Was he effective? No, maybe not. Dylan Tevez, maybe. Yeah, maybe I could have taken, a little more time for that kid. But, I thought the team was in control, didn't want to take a goal. Sometimes in those moments you make decisions. Thought the team was just okay, and a road point isn't bad.
Is that a decision, taking that approach to then turn it over to we're getting the point, we're getting out of here with that? Is that a decision that's made collectively as a coaching staff, or is that something that you yourself just dictate?
Well, we talk on the bench about subs. The guys give me ideas, and we talk things through. Jose, if you're driving at a point, and if I reflected on the game, would I have done things differently? Maybe. Again, managing the players is challenging at times. I just didn't feel that, adding Masowski on the left where he doesn't really play and butchering the lineup and kind of deviating from our structure to win was worth the risk of maybe taking a goal. So that was the final decision.
You mentioned that maybe you didn't think that Leo's forte was defense, but it did seem like Arriola was gassed. They moved him away from Jordan. I mean, maybe exploding some of those moments.
Sure. You can think about that. Yeah.
In terms of the structure, and in the first half, it seemed like you guys had long spells of possession. It was very effective, very fluid. You guys found spaces. What changed in the second half? Does do anything different to prevent that from happening? It seemed like it wasn't as effective in the second half.
I just think there wasn't enough of the movement ahead of the ball, and it's we gave Albert a little more freedom. We gave the 2 young kids the ability, when Albert moves here, fill in the gaps. We had the same game plan for Montreal, just we didn't execute it as well.
And just picking at moments here, there's that really tough foul on JP. Comes in a bad moment. Is that a moment where you kind of wish maybe some of your players might have been able to show some displeasure at that tackle, because your man is coming in, he's got some injuries, maybe have somebody kind of backed up that moment and fire up the team a little bit?
Composure is one thing. I know what you're driving at. Was there any sort of emotion that shows that, hey, you know what, you can't do that to our guy? I get that. It's a fine line. I appreciate when guys stick up for themselves, for sure. I think everybody does. Luckily JP jumped up right away.
Is he okay?
He's fine.
What are some of the challenges that you see this weekend presenting themselves as you prepare your lineup?
Well, De La Vega looked pretty good today. Reed will get back in full training. I'd like to try and be as consistent as possible, but 4 points in 2 games, you can look at it that way. It's another home game. Is that the last for that group? 7 games into the season. What are we doing? I don't think the narrative of his team is written until we do get De La Vega back and JP and Reed and everything, and give them a chance for 4 or 5 games with that group. Because, again, when those guys come back, there's no me hiding behind anything. De La Vega, where's he going to play? Who's coming out of this lineup right now when Pedro's healthy?
You said he looked good. If Pedro has a complete week, is he potential to see minutes?
Potentially.
What about Joao Paulo? Is he
He's fine.
back to
100%.
And then Leo Chu, where is he at right now?
100% available for the game.
Reed Baker White.
He's the one that might be a little bit behind because he had pneumonia last week, so he's getting over that.
With a guy like Pedro, the way he shoots the ball, his explosion on the runs, is that something that you kind of got to be careful so a guy maybe doesn't do too much because, of course, the importance of him? How cautious do you got to be to handle him here on out?
Well, we're going to be cautious with him and his training, data. They collect it every day. We won't try and overcook him in training. We'll get him ready for games. And he'll be on a slow ramp up because we can't afford to have another injury.
Are you thumbs up on the Nathan here?
Yeah, looks good.
Did you see yourself kind of playing the first team in the standings in the Galaxy and then second in Vancouver? Is that something that you kind of
Good for them.
expected?
Good for them. Good for them.
Do you look at this as a sort of measuring game, or is there no such thing as measuring games when you're
Not
just...
yet. Not yet. Measuring game in what sense? I guess I should think about the question a little more.
Yeah, I guess I mean more in terms of
Like
where
we're at.
Where you're at.
Yeah. So we played the Galaxy. They didn't play us off the park, but we didn't get any points. Vancouver, same thing, top of the division. Where do we measure up? Yeah, maybe. I think it's still a little early.
I guess from internally, though, how badly do you feel like you need points here?
We need every home game. We're going to need to collect points because it's hard to get them on the road. So every home game is now critical.